Well, Alejandro, I would say probably for both of us.
Literally.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he called me up and said, would you consider doing this little part in this movie? And it's only, I actually was on a no work period, which I'd promised to my family. And so it was unlikely that I was going to do it. And then he came and talked to me and told me about the script and the whole idea and the process of how it was going to be filmed. And it just sounded like a great challenge, and any time I can get to spend with Alejandro, particularly on a set, is going to be a fascinating and worthy experience, and I did learn a lot, yeah.
Well, it's, in a strange way, you know, it was very like making theatre, because we had these long sequences that we shot, perhaps, I don't know, in normal film terms, maybe 6 scenes at once. And we had them rehearsed and choreographed. You can only rehearse and choreograph something so much until you actually get into the real space, you know? So we had 3 great weeks of rehearsal, but then we also had a lot to negotiate on the day. And we rehearsed it enough that it felt like we were able to hit the beats we needed to hit emotionally in the moment, you know, so we could be present enough. But there was all sorts of shit going on behind the camera. You know, there were like 5 people hiding behind the camera. There were camera crew, wires tripping over each other, elbowing walls and each other. And it was funny, it was very funny and nerve-wracking, a huge amount of pressure, because nobody wanted to be the one who was going to drop the ball.
What comes with that intensity is that when you achieve the impossible, or it feels like it's impossible, it is victorious. It is a collective, fantastic, victorious moment that you all share together, which is very unlike conventional filmmaking. You know, usually, yeah, you're like, oh my God, yeah, that was good, that felt good. And, you know, but in this case, you're all sort of like bouncing, pounding fists and high-fiving and chest pumping, and, you know, it feels like you've scored a goal or something. When he said that, he said, it's a comedy. I'm like, yeah, right, you. Not really. No, I don't think so. And me, definitely not. Like, nobody comes to me for comedy. But it's interesting because it did open some other doors. And you know, I think everything happens for a reason. You put the message out there and then it starts coming to you.
That's so true.
You can hunt things down, and, you know, or, this wasn't something I was hunting down, but I had put myself into that place where I was like, I have to broaden the horizons and start choosing some lighter material. And this being a funny piece, but it's really got some pretty intense and heavy themes in the underlining of it, and I just thought, what a great experience, what a great team to be a part of, and yeah, like, it required incredible focus, incredible discipline, but like I said, the highs were extreme.
It was a contrary experience playing my character Laura, because she has really very little experience, or Alejandro and I talked about the fact that she probably hadn't done a lot of theatre, and she actually follows Regan out to do this play from Los Angeles, perhaps, you know, to New York to do this Carver adaptation. So she's not particularly invested in the material, and perhaps in the same way that Naomi's character is. She's certainly invested in seeking acclaim. And I think Laura's very open to wherever that'll come from. You know, she's open to that coming from a lot of different places. But she's also looking for love in all of the wrong places, and it's not reciprocated by Regan in the way that she wants it to be. And I love that. I love that she's a really erratic. You know, she's pretty crazy, Laura, but that you really get to see her come into her own in terms of what she realizes she wants from life, perhaps a family, a baby, you know. And as a human.
Yeah, and I think actually, like, everyone's got their own thing going on here, but there are actually very similar versions. I mean, they manifest themselves differently, but this, I think basically that it's all a need to be loved and validated and feel like their best version of themselves, that, maybe they've gone off track in some way or another and they'd like to get back to the dream the original dream that they started with, and the innocence of that. And so I feel like, we can relate to Regan and Michael Keaton's character, because there's a version of him in all of us, whether we're in that theatre world or not, or involved with fame or Hollywood or anything. It's just, I think, a human nature to want to feel validated.
He had such an enormous job, really, because not only was he leading the film in some way, but he was, in a sense, carrying it, because Alejandro was making a film from one man's perspective. It doesn't mean that all of the character elements aren't involved, but you really see it from Regan's perspective, and the long shots, the whole one continuous shot, allows you to be inside of his mind. And sometimes it's very claustrophobic to be inside of his mind, and it's a relief when you get outside of the theatre even. But you also understand, I think, seeing the whole film from Michael's character's perspective, why he escapes into his head, and why it's easier to go there than it is to perhaps deal with what's going on in his life, his relationship with his daughter, his dysfunctional relationship with his younger girlfriend. A bunch of actors around him he's trying to wrangle, and nothing's working.